Hello and welcome inside the Sports Sermon. I am Dylan Staggy here today with Jason Gandhi and Zach Munson. And as you can tell by the title, today is another NFL team preview, and we are doing the Miami Dolphins. So, last year, the Dolphins had an interesting season to say the least. Jay Cutler came in after Ryan Tannehill got hurt. But some big changes for the Dolphins in the offseason after finishing 6-10. Cutler, Sue, Landry, Pouncey, Ajayi, all gone. And not a lot of star power coming back, but Ryan Tannehill will be back for this season. And they got a steal in the draft, in my opinion, with Minkah Fitzpatrick at pick number 11. But my first question for you guys today. So Miami's offense is definitely going to look a lot different with Ryan Tannehill coming back. And like I mentioned, Jay Ajayi and Jarvis Landry both gone. What are we going to expect from their offense this year?
Yeah, for the offense, it's just going to be different. You look at where what they have at every position. You've got some Tannehill and Osweiler at the QB spot. I like that QB room. Tannehill, I think this
You do?
Yeah, I think Osweiler is a good fit here because, this is the one offense he succeeded in was Adam Gase's offense. And I think Tannehill, this is his last chance where he knows his back's against the wall, so he's going to have to prove it. So I think that's going to be an interesting QB room to watch. Running back, you have Frank Gore and Kenyon Drake. Frank Gore, the definition of consistency. Kenyon Drake, the guy that's just been up and down, so hopefully you get something out of them. It doesn't matter who you get as long as you get it somewhere per game. And then receiver, Danny Amendola and company. Danny Amendola, Albert Wilson, Kenny Stills, those type guys at wide receiver. It's just very different than what you saw last year because last year it was Jay Cutler, Jay Ajayi, Jarvis Landry, like Dylan said. And so I'm just curious to see how it fits. I don't really know what to expect because every major position is different.
Yeah, I don't expect them to have a great offensive year. I think people have to step up, obviously. I think it'll be an average year for the Dolphins. I don't think anything spectacular. I don't see a ton of star power at those positions, obviously Frank Gore and Kenyon Drake. Frank Gore obviously is 1 year older. You wonder if he's going to slow down. Probably not, honestly, but I don't think they have a lot of star power to really make a splash this year on offense.
Yeah, it's definitely just not going to be great. Like, Tannehill comes back, but it's not like Tannehill was ever anything special. He had 1 year where he threw for over 4,000 yards, but even then the Dolphins weren't that great. You look at Kenyon Drake and Frank Gore at the running back position. I think they'll do a pretty good job filling in for Jay Ajayi. Drake was great last season after Ajayi got traded. A couple of nice pieces they added on the offensive line, Daniel Kilgore and Josh Sitton. I think they will help things. But, just the big thing for the Dolphins is that they don't really have a number one target at the wide receiver position to help Tannehill out with. And then the tight ends are very bad too. A.J. Derby and then Mike Gesicki, the rookie from Penn State. Will he be ready to contribute right away?
He's pretty good. I like him.
Yeah,
yeah, but not rookie year.
Yeah.
He's the volleyball player, so shout out boys volleyball. He played volleyball. Isn't that cool? And then the other one, it was Hurst, I think. He played a different sport. It was like the tight ends, they all play like different sports besides football. Anyway, yeah, Gesicki, good prospect. I thought it was a good sign for the Dolphins.
Yeah, but I think, we all agree this year it's not going to be great on the offensive side for the Dolphins, but they do have an interesting defense, I would say. They have a few solid pieces that are veterans on defense, and then a few younger guys that are going to be on the up-and-coming, including Minkah Fitzpatrick, the draft pick this year. So what are we expecting from their core this year on the defensive side? Do you think we can put it together?
Yeah, I really like their defense. I think people are kind of sleeping on that D-line. I like the Robert Quinn and Cameron Wake pair. I think that's going to be a dynamic duo on the edges. And then you get a guy like Charles Harris. They drafted not last year, but the year before. He's going to come in for his second year. I think he's a guy to keep an eye on in that front seven. Then you look at the secondary. I really like Reshad Jones. I really like Minkah Fitzpatrick. You pair them up at safeties, and you have some great safeties. Tony Lippett at cornerback got hurt from Michigan State. He looked good. He was a receiver in college, transferred to cornerback, and looked good when he was at corner. Unfortunately, got hurt. I think this defense in a few years could be one of the elite defenses because they've got so much young talent. It's just a matter of them meshing and coming together. But I really like what they're building down in Miami defensively.
Yeah, they got solid players, like Jason said. I don't think their defense is good enough right now, at least, to be like the Bills and to win them games by themselves. I think they need a little bit more help on offense, but I like where they're going for the future. So, once again, Minka Fitzpatrick, that was a great pick at 11. I think he's going to be a star.
Yeah, I mean, that front four is definitely going to be just deadly. Cameron Wake, William Hayes, Robert Quinn, Charles Harris on the edges, and then Devon Godchaw had a great season at the defensive tackle. So those are going to be great.
The thing is, they could have had Ndamukong Suh, too. That has been
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Where'd
obviously.
he go? He went to the Rams. Yeah.
Yeah, the Rams.
Shout out LA with every talent ever.
Yeah, they loaded up this offseason. But one last interesting question for you guys before we get into our predictions for this season. Should the Dolphins keep or trade Ryan Tannehill for the long haul?
Yeah, I think you keep him this year. Don't trade him. Let him play out this year. See what he does. I assume he's going to be just above average, so he's probably like the 13th, 14th, probably 15th best quarterback.
I wouldn't put him
there.
I wouldn't say
high.
that high either.
That's literally average. I think that's just above average. Average is 16.
I don't think he's above average.
Okay, so I put him. I think he'll have an above average season, just like on the cusp of average, above average. Then you go out, you draft a quarterback within the next 2 years, or the next first 2 rounds of next year, and then you keep Tannehill, you keep him, and you do what the Ravens are doing, where you say you've got one more shot, we've got a guy ready to go. So if you mess up, we have this guy ready to go. I think if I'm Tannehill, you've got a year to prove yourself that they should stay on. I think he does that this year, and then next year you've got to prove yourself again. And you draft a QB for the future. I thought they'd do it this year. I know Baker Mayfield was tied to the Dolphins a lot at 11. Obviously, Baker rose up draft boards to go number 1. And by the time they were picking, it just didn't make sense. But I think the Dolphins next year have to go get a quarterback. But don't give up on Tannehill yet.
How long is Tannehill's contract till?
I think 2 more years.
Exactly.
This year and 1 more.
I've never been a fan of Tannehill. I think he's at best average, but I think he's a little below average. I think he might be around like 17 to like 19th best quarterback personally. I think they should move on. I'm not a big believer in him, but I definitely think you keep him at least 1 more year. See if he proves me wrong. But if not, after this year he's not showing much improvement, I think you have to move on. I don't think he's gonna be a quarterback that wins you playoff games.
But see, if you don't get rid of him this year, then you have to say you're going to give up a quarterback for like a 6th-round pick on a contract year. You might as well keep him next year and just draft a guy and just have him there for next year on a contract year. Like I think if you're going to do it, you're going to have to do it this year because you got 2 years left. So he's still valuable to the team. You might be able to get something out of him.
I think he has 3 years left. I think he's
said 2.
Unrestricted free agent in 2021.
Oh, maybe it is another year. But, yeah, I mean, for me, just keeping Ryan Tannehill around long-term for the Dolphins, it just keeps them in mediocrity. Like, you look at these last 5 years, 8 wins, 6 wins, 10 wins, 6 wins. Like,
they got in the playoffs last year, 2 years ago.
Yeah, but, I mean, no one
mediocrity.
really thought of the Dolphins were going to do anything, though.
But, like, I think every team would they'd take the playoffs. I don't know.
But that's 1 year out of the last 5 for me.
Yeah.
So I just think Ryan Tannehill keeps them in mediocrity. He'll never be able to be better than a game manager. He's 29 years old now and hasn't proven otherwise. And with a game manager, the Dolphins just don't have enough talent out elsewhere to make up for that and lead them to a playoff season. But speaking of the playoffs, let's go ahead and get your guys' record predictions, division place, and will the Dolphins make the playoffs, yes or no?
Yeah, so I was looking through their schedule, and this is really what stuck out to me. 8 of the first 10 games are against teams who missed the playoffs in 2017. So, I don't think this happens, but I think there is potential that they could get hot early because they do have an easy 10 games to start off. Obviously, there's tough teams in there because it's not all easy, but like in general, pretty easy start to the season. If they can get hot, they can beat a team like in back-to-back weeks. That then you get some momentum. Then anything can happen. You look at Oakland week 3. I think it's week 3. They're a team that you don't really know what you've got. If they can beat I think they have Tennessee opening, so you beat Tennessee, then you got the Jets, which they should win, then you go to Oakland. I mean, there's a chance they go 3-0 because there's a lot of question marks in those teams they start off with. I think they could roll and surprise a few people if they get hot early because of their schedule. Personally, I don't think it happens. I think there's just potential for that. I have them being 6-10. I think they struggle against those teams that are question marks, like Tennessee and Oakland. I like both of them. Those are just the two teams that are beginning the schedule. I like both of them. I think they struggle there. 6-10, they finished third in the division, and obviously they do not have a shot at the playoffs.
I think they're going to go 5-11. I think that after their bye week, the back half of their season is loaded.
Well, they get a nice game against the Colts, which should be an easy game to come back after the bye. But then after that, it does get brutal. You've got the Patriots and Vikings in back-to-back weeks. But, yeah,
Do you seriously think the Colts are going to be worse than the Dolphins?
Oh, my God. At Colts.
What?
It's at the Colts, too, so.
I'm just saying, like, the Colts aren't like, oh, shoot, tough game off the bye week. It's like, oh, you can definitely win that game. That's definitely not a must-loss. It's definitely not a definite loss.
Okay, but the back half of the season is loaded. Colts, a lot better this next year. Bills twice. Patriots, Vikings, Jaguars. There is a potential that they can go 0-6 at the end of the year. Not saying they will be, but
there's also potential they go 3-3. I'm with you.
I to go 6-0. I just don't think they're gonna do that well. I think they're gonna go 0-6 or 1-5 in the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I have 6 wins for the Dolphins. I actually have them in second place though in the AFC East because you really just look at those other teams, the Bills and the Jets, that are going to be even worse than them, I think. But at 6-10, there's no way they get near the playoffs for me. But, I mean, some interesting pieces. Dolphins got to make some decisions on their future, especially with Ryan Tannehill. Any last thoughts from you guys, though?
Shout out Albert Wilson. It's his birthday tomorrow, I think it is. So, there you go. Happy birthday, Albert Wilson. Got to throw a birthday shout out in there.
All right.
Let's think. What else? Dolphins. I seem like we were pretty much in agreement. Minka Fitzpatrick was one of the steals of the draft. Yeah. Him and Derwin James are just crazy pickups for the Chargers and the Dolphins. But
yeah, we'll see if that defense can develop into something scary in the next few years. Because if they do keep Ryan Tannehill around, they're definitely going to need a great defense.
Yeah, the defense will definitely be something to keep an eye on. And hopefully the receivers show up. We'll see. It should be a good year in Miami. Definitely do not know what you have down there, which could be fun because you just, like I said, the 8 of the first 10 games against teams that missed the playoffs, they could get on a roll. They also could lose all of them. Like, that's the thing is with the Dolphins, you just do not know what you're getting, and that could be interesting for Miami.
Yeah, I mean, if they do get on a roll, you saw the Bills last season. Obviously, like their point differential was in the negatives, like 50 or 60 or something points, but they still were able to make the playoffs. A big part of that was their turnover margin. And maybe the Dolphins can do something similar this year. Just trying to throw out some hope from Dolphins fans. But that is going to do it for our episode today. Depending on when you're listening to this, there is definitely going to be at least some more NFL team previews out. We did all of the AFC East today, and then check back weekly on YouTube, The Sports Sermon, or on Twitter at The Sports Sermon. Go follow us on there, and we will have more NFL team previews for you there. But we will see you very soon. This is The Sports Sermon signing off.
South Beach, baby.